AR Pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी चाहे जो भी हो।
सर, पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता। टाटा AIG हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, विद यू लाइक फैमिली, विद यू ऑलवेज।
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
Hi there, good evening. Hope you had a great Sunday. And now it's time to look forward to the coming week. Welcome back to this week's edition of Looking Forward. The show is about stories that are shaping up over the coming days and weeks. News that is developing and would have consequences for your life and mine and impact our choices. Stories that shape India's and world's politics and economics going forward. So let's get going. Tonight's show packs a punch with 5 stories that you should look forward to this week. First up, the Vande Mataram debate comes to Parliament tomorrow, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi leading the BJP charge on the Treasury benches. It's going to be a hot one on ideological moorings of present-day politics and polity. It's going to be nationalism versus liberalism. We take a look. Second, the same coming week is going to see a discussion on the special intensive revision of electoral rolls and electoral reforms, in fact, in Parliament. A hot button issue with the opposition there. The government agreed to it following protests and pandemonium in both the houses. And this one is going to look forward to coming elections in at least half a dozen states, including Bengal. Story number 3 tonight is about the United States trade representative leading a team of negotiators to take the India-US trade talks further to the next round this week. Story number 4, is about Indian and American investigators meeting in Washington, D.C. on the AI-171 crash probe. And finally, story number 5, an interesting one. On Australia, down under, banning social media apps, all social media apps for those under 16 years in their country. It's an interesting social development with some consequences for around the world, including India. We'll focus on that. Let's begin with the headlines. Goa Chief Minister Pramod Sawant speaks to Republic exclusively on the Burj nightclub fire tragedy, admits pyros were being used in the club. Sawant ordered a magisterial probe into the tragic fire incident in Arpora of North Goa earlier in the day, which has claimed 25 lives, including 4 tourists and 14 staff members. Goa CM vows stringent action against owners of the nightclub and government officials involved in any laxity after 25 killed in the fire tragedy. 4, including the general manager, have been arrested, and an arrest warrant has also been issued against the owners who are based out of Delhi. Sawant has also reiterated that the government will conduct a safety audit of all nightclubs and restaurants in Goa to prevent similar incidents. More Indigo cancellations continue for 6th straight day. Over 600 flights cancelled across major airports. The government has imposed temporary cap on domestic airfares to ease the burden on passengers, even as the DGCA has warned Indigo of regulatory action if it does not improve its operations, issuing second show cause notice in 24 hours. Parliament is all set for a historic debate on the 150th anniversary of our national song Vande Mataram tomorrow. Prime Minister Modi to initiate debate in Lok Sabha that will go on for 10 hours in the lower house. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh expected to speak after the Prime Minister. From the opposition, Congress Deputy Leader Gaurav Gogoi and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra are likely to participate. Rajya Sabha picks it up Tuesday. All right, friends, let's begin. The Lok Sabha is all set to hold a special discussion on Vande Mataram tomorrow, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi initiating the debate at 12 noon. The discussion, which will span 10 hours in the Lok Sabha and 10 in the Rajya Sabha, marks the 150th anniversary of the national song written by Bankim Chand Chatterjee. Rajya Sabha would pick up the debate, of course, on Tuesday. But what is important is that battle lines are already drawn. Most Muslim MPs have expressed inability to hum the song on grounds of religion. BJP wants Congress to take a position and has teased appeasement already. This discussion is part of the year-long celebrations to commemorate Vande Mataram's 150th anniversary. All eyes are on tomorrow's session, where Vande Mataram, a unifying anthem of resistance for most and a religious symbol to be shunned for others, takes center stage in world's largest democracy.
हमारे राष्ट्रगीत वंदे मातरम के 150 साल होने जा रहे हैं। 1905 में जब अंग्रेजों ने बंगाल का विभाजन किया, उसके प्रतिरोध में वंदे मातरम हर देशवासी का स्वर बन गया।
Born of the pen of Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, a deputy collector in British India, author, freedom fighter, Vande Mataram is more than a hymn. It became the voice of the soil of the Indian nation. Bankim described the nation as a mother and imagined all of us Indians as her children. He first published it in 1882 in his novel Anandamath. However, the song plunged into the heart of every freedom fighter when Guru Rabindranath Tagore recited the poem at the 12th Annual Congress session in 1896. In 1905, when the British sowed the seeds of divide and rule with the partition of Bengal, Vande Mataram became the voice of resistance, the words of unity and the chant for freedom. But our national song's journey was marked by battles, not all physical, woven in the nationalist tapestry with a thread of discord. In 1937, some members of the Muslim League and Congress objected to later stanzas of Vande Mataram. The original stanzas drew inspiration from Vedic imagery of Ma Durga.
उस समय कांग्रेस के एक बड़े नेता ने, जिन्होंने 1923 में वंदे मातरम गाने से इनकार कर दिया था, कांग्रेस के अध्यक्ष के रूप में रहते हुए, और जब वह अंतिम समय उनका आया तो उन्होंने इच्छा व्यक्त की थी कि मेरी इच्छा है कि मैं यरूशलेम में मरूं। बाबा साहब ने तब एक टिप्पणी की थी कि जो व्यक्ति भारत की धरती पर पैदा होकर के भारत की सुविधा का उपभोग करके भारत की धरती को पवित्र न मानता हो, उस व्यक्ति के द्वारा दिए जाने वाले वक्तव्य कभी भारतवासियों के हित में नहीं हो सकते।
Subsequently, as pressure mounted, the Congress passed a resolution in 1937 to only sing the first two stanzas of Vande Mataram, which referred to the nation only as a mother but not as a goddess.
जो काम अंग्रेज नहीं कर पाए, वो काम कांग्रेस ने कर दिया। कांग्रेस ने मजहबी आधार पर वंदे मातरम के एक हिस्से को ही हटा दिया, यानी कांग्रेस ने समाज को भी बांटा और अंग्रेजों के एजेंडे को भी आगे बढ़ाया। और मैं आज एक बात बहुत जिम्मेदारी से कह रहा हूं, जिस दिन कांग्रेस ने वंदे मातरम को तोड़ने का, काटने का, विभाजित करने का फैसला लिया था, उसी दिन कांग्रेस ने भारत के विभाजन की नींव डाल दी थी। कांग्रेस ने वो पाप नहीं किया होता तो आज भारत की तस्वीर कुछ और होती।
देश की आजादी की लड़ाई में जब कांग्रेस अंग्रेजों के खिलाफ लड़ रही थी, जो नेतृत्व में कांग्रेस के सभी शामिल थे उसमें जिस तरह, और भारतीय जनता पार्टी का मातृ संगठन अंग्रेजों का साथ दे रहा था, आज वंदे मातरम का उनको याद आ गई है।
Right-leaning analyst Shubhastra says this reflects the ideology of the Congress party, which is anti-Hindu.
Look, there is a clear historical record that exists. The Congress Working Committee in 1937 formally adopted Vande Mataram as the national song, but restricted it to the first two stanzas, omitting the rest. Now, this talks a lot about the kind of ideology that the Congress wanted to propagate from the beginning. The early Congress leadership, particularly under Jawaharlal Nehru and Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, they argued that Anand Mat, the novel from which Vande Mataram actually comes from, had Hindu iconography and references to goddess motherland as Bhavani or Durga, and the later stanzas reveal that. I think it is precisely because of this reference to Bhavani and Durga that Congress leadership raised a problem then. It was mainly done to avoid alienating a section of Muslim League leadership, which Congress preemptively diluted these supreme central cultural expressions of the freedom struggle. It also goes on to show that they have always preferred appeasement over accommodation instead of cultivating plural ownership of a civilizational grammar, of civilizational symbols that sort of resonates with all of us. And in order to do so, Congress truncated the symbol itself.
When asked Tausif, a left-leaning voice, on was Congress's decision to adopt only the first two stanzas a pragmatic constitutional compromise, He pinned the blame on BJP, saying it was an attempt by the government to create a divide.
BJP, by raising questions now over the, by measuring both the Jana Gana Mana and Vande Mataram, is trying to create a dispute. Is trying to divide people, because that's what BJP does. BJP is challenging the collective wisdom of the Constituent Assembly. That Constituent Assembly, which composed of the stalwarts of the nation, the freedom fighters of the nation, who then decided that Jana Gana Mana will be the national anthem of the country and Vande Mataram will be the national song of the country.
The friction began even before independence and continues till date. The legacy of Congress's resolution that diluted but did not erase the question still shapes the debate. As the winter session of the parliament enters its second week, the Lok Sabha is poised for a landmark discussion tomorrow on the 150th anniversary of Vande Mataram, India's iconic national song.
अब तो सदन चल रहा है और सहमति भी बनी है और अब तो मुझे लगता है कि सोमवार को वंदे मातरम पे चर्चा भी.
The total allocation of 20 hours across both houses reflects the government's push to elevate Vande Mataram's stature, which Prime Minister Modi has described as not merely a word. It is a mantra, an energy, a dream, a solemn resolve that instills confidence and courage.
वंदे मातरम बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है. हमारा आज़ादी के लड़ाई में वंदे मातरम नारा लगा करके अंग्रेजों के विरोध में संघर्ष किया है और 150 साल पूरा किया है. बंकिम चंद्र चट्टोपाध्याय जी का जब ये वंदे मातरम का लिखने का कार्य किया, उसका 150 साल पूरा हुआ है. ये पूरा देश मानता है. ये कोई पॉलिटिकल एजेंडा नहीं है, कोई पॉलिटिकल इशू नहीं है.
Till today, demand for the full Vande Mataram continues, even as some leaders from school debates to parliament publicly refuse to sing it, citing faith or conscience.
मैं पढ़ नहीं सकता. मेरे मजहब में, मेरे रिलीजन में ये कहा गया है कि अल्लाह जिसने ज़मीन बनाई, आसमान बनाया, सूरज बनाए, चांद बनाए, इंसान बनाए, सारी दुनिया बनाए, हम उसके अलावा किसी के आगे सर नहीं झुका सकते.
जिनको भारत का आज़ादी स्वीकार नहीं है, अखंडता स्वीकार नहीं है, वंदे मातरम स्वीकार नहीं है, उनको भारत में रहने का कोई अधिकार नहीं है.
150 years on, Vande Mataram's resonance still shakes stadiums, schoolyards, and soldiers' camp. As Prime Minister Modi opens the 150-year legacy debate on the question of can BJP propose to restore the full anthem's reverberance and counter leftist historical revisions, here's what right-leaning voice Shubhastra said.
The BJP can move beyond the rhetorical celebration and adopt a cultural constitutional strategy that recenters Vande Mataram in national memory. Maybe it can commission a scholarly, multilingual, critical edition of Vande Mataram, which will restore the text not just as a patriotic song but also as a key work in Bengali literary modernity, countering this whole narrative that it is majoritarian. Most leftist critiques treat the Vande Mataram through the lens of only through a communal lens. Now, a BJP-led initiative could foreground how this song was catalyzed the Swadeshi movement, how it shaped the anti-colonial mobilization, and how it served as a unifying chant across caste and linguistic boundaries.
With Prime Minister Modi leading the debate, will this become genuine historical reckoning on the anthem's evolution? Here's what the left thinks.
Prime Minister Modi is heavily misguided in leading this kind of debate, which only divides people. Why is BJP time and again hell-bent on advising the Prime Minister on speaking on issues which only divide people? and which only insults our freedom fighter. The national anthem was adopted in Constituent Assembly in 1950, composed of the then high and mighty of the country, the then freedom fighter of the country. Now, so many years later, we are questioning the decision that was made in the Constituent Assembly. Yes, now Parliament, in Parliament, Prime Minister Modi has the majority. He will do whatever he can. He can pass any resolution, any bill. But are we on the right track by raising these kind of issues?
From Mahatma Gandhi's prayer gatherings to Subhas Bose's Azad Hind Fauj, from Tagore's voice to Lata Mangeshkar's, Vande Mataram endures a forever emotion for India. The winter session running till December 19 will shift to electoral reforms post-debate, with Prime Minister Modi likely intervening. For now, all eyes are on tomorrow's session where Vande Mataram, a unifying anthem of resistance, takes center stage in the world's largest democracy.
Also this week in Parliament, there would be debate on electoral reforms, including the controversial SIR of voter lists starting December 9. Opposition, led by the Congress, have branded SIR a vote chori scheme targeting minorities. The BJP, of course, projects the exercise and its role in purging duplicates and deceased entries to ensure fair polls, as evidenced by recent successes in Bihar and Haryana. Prime Minister has urged constructive dialogue over drama, warning against opposition sour grapes syndrome. Here's what is expected in the Parliament.
In the heart of India's democracy, the winter session of the Parliament has turned into a battleground over electoral integrity. The special intensive revision of voter list has sparked fierce debates, with the opposition accusing the government of vote manipulation, while the ruling BJP defends it as an essential cleanup.
Here is the list of duplicate voters. These are all the people who have voted multiple times.
My request is to you allow us to discuss SIR. It is very important issue. Not only people are dying. While putting forward your demand, you have right to put forward. You cannot reject other conditions. However, I am saying again, the matter related to whatever you call it, special intensive revision or electoral reforms or whatever, I have stated before the beginning of the winter session that government is not averse to taking up discussion for anything.
SIR, launched by the Election Commission, is a massive exercise to revise electoral rolls across 12 states ahead of the upcoming elections. The government says it is about ensuring clean, accurate voter lists, removing duplicates and deceased names.
इलेक्ट्रल रिफॉर्म के ऊपर चर्चा सरकार की तरफ से एक्सेप्ट करके नेक्स्ट वीक में लेकर आया जा रहा है और लगातार सरकार की तरफ से कहा जा रहा था कि हम हर विषय पर चर्चा के लिए तैयार हैं, सदन को चलने देना चाहिए। अब ये इलेक्ट्रल रिफॉर्म जब आ रहा है तो मुझे लगता है इसके बाद सदन को डिस्टर्ब करने की विपक्ष के पास कोई भी कारण नहीं होगा और सदन के बाकी बचे हुए दिन सुचारू रूप से जनता के हित में कार्य करते हुए हमें लगाने चाहिए।
But the opposition calls it a sinister plot. They claim it's leading to the deletion of legitimate voters, especially from the minority and poor communities, and has given caused deaths among overload BLOs as the reason.
This should have happened in the monsoon session. There's so much of delay. The monsoon session was washed out only because of the obstinate attitude of the BJP government. They could have allowed to have a discussion in the House in monsoon session. Now the 2 days of this session also is wasted. But in any case, now that they have allowed after constant pressure from the opposition parties. We will discuss about it, we'll debate on it, we'll place our views on SIR, which we are very clear is a very despotic and dictatorial move.
The Supreme Court has upheld the Election Commission's authority, but the political storm rages on, stalling Parliament for days until a truce was reached for a 10-hour debate on electoral reforms.
SIR का बहुत ही तात्कालिक और ज्वलंत मुद्दा है, क्योंकि इस पर चर्चा होने से और विपक्ष के द्वारा सुझाव से इस देश का लोकतंत्र बचेगा.
Leading the charge, the Congress and the Indie bloc have labelled SIR as vote chori. They argue that it's a BJP Election Commission nexus to rig future elections, pointing to parties' recent wins in Bihar and Haryana as evidence.
5 states would be going to elections next year in 2026. SIR is a major issue in 4 out of these 5 states. 4. Government has kept Assam out of the SIR exercise for reasons best known to them. And there is a controversy on that, why Assam has been kept out. As winter session will come to an end in next 1.5 weeks and no much time is left, I think if after the discussion in the parliament, if government or election commission does not take any concrete steps that gives the required relief to electorate as well as administrative machinery, in the first week of January, when budget session will begin, SIR would again be an issue before the parliament. It could be an issue if no concrete step is taken after this discussion this time.
Rahul Gandhi's campaign against SIR has galvanized the opposition, who walked out of sessions demanding immediate debate.
लोकतंत्र पर आक्रमण हो रहा है, अंबेडकर जी के कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन पर आक्रमण हो रहा है और डायरेक्टली मोदी जी, अमित शाह जी और ज्ञानेश जी जॉइंटली पार्टनरशिप बना के कर रहे हैं.
आपको नहीं लगता उठाना चाहिए? बहुत बड़ा मुद्दा है. अगर वोटर लिस्ट में कोई ये सारा हो रहा है तो क्यों ना उठाए हम? और सरकार को चर्चा कर देनी चाहिए, चर्चा करें और आगे बढ़ें, क्यों नहीं?
Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge escalated the urgency in Rajya Sabha, highlighting human costs.
Keeping aside all other business, the government should take, the House should take 267 discussion. That is important. That's why we request, sir, you give us permission to start discussion on 267 that SIR.
हम चाहते हैं, हमारी मांग है ऑपोजिशन की कि SIR का टाइम बढ़ाया जाए, क्योंकि अभी तक 60% ही लोग फॉर्म भर पाए हैं, 40% फॉर्म भरना शेष है. जहां BLO में इतना प्रेशर है, जहां इलेक्शन कमीशन ने कोई तैयारी नहीं करी है कि फॉर्म्स कैसे भरे जाएं. अब प्रेशर के तहत जहां BLOs आत्महत्या कर रहे हैं, तो इसका जिम्मेदार आखिर कौन है? हम चाहते हैं कि बहुत ही व्यवस्थित तरीके से SIR की प्रक्रिया पूरी हो और डेमोक्रेसी का ड्रामा ना बनाया जाए.
The BJP dismisses these claims as sour grapes from a losing opposition. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju, along with Prime Minister Modi, blamed disruptions on few parties, venting electoral frustration.
ड्रामा करने के लिए जगह बहुत होती है, यहाँ ड्रामा नहीं, डिलीवरी होनी चाहिए. नारे के लिए भी जितने नारे बुलवाने हैं, वो पूरा देश खाली पड़ा है. जहाँ पराजित होकर के आए वहाँ बोल चुके हो, जहाँ अभी पराजय के लिए जाने वाले हो वहाँ भी बोल दीजिए.
सरकार कोई भी मुद्दा जो नियम के तहत आता है तो चर्चा के लिए तैयार है. जहाँ तक स्पेशल इंटेंसिव रिवीजन का मामला है, ये एक प्रक्रिया है, इलेक्शन कमीशन ने चलाया है और पहली बार नहीं है. देश में कई बार स्पेशल इंटेंसिव रिवीजन हुए हैं, लेकिन इलेक्शन कमीशन का कोई एग्जीक्यूटिव ऑर्डर या कोई फंक्शनिंग या उसका कोई उनका एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव काम होता है, वो पार्लियामेंट में चर्चा कर सकता है कि नहीं कर सकता है, वो तो नियम तय करेगा और स्पीकर और चेयरमैन तय करेंगे.
With opposition weaponizing electoral reforms to near wash out the winter session's first week, Karan Verma says the BJP must take measure to expose the illegal infiltrators and reclaim the need for SIR.
For every citizen to understand that there is serious legislation that is pending in the parliament. Take for example the coastal shipping bill, different banking amendments. I mean, at the end of the day, the parliament is all for governance. Now, the government, I'm glad it has agreed to discuss SIR. Though earlier I was of the view that the SIR comes under the purview of the Election Commission, and when the party to the discussion is not there, how can you discuss it in the parliament? But be that as it may be, if the government has conceded to that demand, it's a positive step. We need the parliament to function so that important legislation can see fruition. Also, let's not forget, every minute of parliament wasted equals to 2.5 lakh of the exchequer's money. So we don't want a washout now. We've had many washouts. We've had a very incredibly irresponsible opposition that has stalled parliament for frivolous reasons. Sometimes it's Adani, sometimes it's Hindenburg, sometimes it was Pegasus. I just hope this session sees some important legislative business happen finally.
On the question if the move on SIR debate was a panicked government response or legitimate democratic accountability, Pankaj Sharma, the left-leaning voice, says that it is the responsibility and duty of the government to talk on issues that concern the public and place the facts transparently.
Modi government had to agree for a discussion on SIR under disguise of debate on electoral reforms. It has been receiving feedback from across the country through its various agencies. A huge unrest against SIR is taking a solidified shape among the masses. After this, government decided to change its stand on not having a debate on SIR. The government has been firmly denying now to have any discussion that in any way involves the issue of recent steps and decisions taken by the Election Commission. Opposition has always been saying that it is the right of the parliament to have a scrutiny of the overall conduct of the ECI. The government was of the view that nothing about ECI can be discussed in the parliament. But ultimately, government had to kneel down before the pressure of the opposition, sensing the sensitivity of the matter. It is good that now it will be discussed in the parliament.
The standoff led to repeated adjournments. Lok Sabha saw 3 in a one day alone. Opposition staged walkouts and protests outside the parliament, chanting against vote theft.
Yes, nothing will go on. No, I am coming to you. I am coming to you.
Finally came a breakthrough. The government relented to a December 9 debate on electoral reforms, including SIR, with 10 hours allotted. But tensions linger. Congress hailed it as a win against arrogance.
Our demand is only for a debate. Last one session completely washed out because of the government stand. Not having a debate on electoral reforms or SIR.
As the December 9 debate approaches, all eyes are on whether this will lead to real reforms or more deadlock. SIR isn't just about lists, it's about trust in democracy. With Congress demanding accountability and BJP urging cooperation, the outcome could define India's electoral future.
On December 10th, India and the United States return to the negotiation table. A high-level US delegation is set to land in New Delhi, pushing forward the first tranche of the long-delayed bilateral trade agreement. Can both sides break the gridlock? Can the 2025 deadline still hold? And what do the two leaders need to concede or defend to unlock the $500 billion trade goal? Let's set the context.
As Deputy US Trade Representative, Rick Switzer arrives in New Delhi this week for the next round of tariff and trade talks. Expectation is building up. India has already submitted what officials describe as the final concessions on the market access. But for New Delhi, energy security remains non-negotiable. Pharma, textiles, digital goods and broader market access remain the core asks. Agriculture, still a red line sector. Putin's Delhi visit last week sharpened the geopolitical angle, just as the US team sealed its travel schedule.
The leadership of two countries, and Prime Minister Modi and I in person, pay particular attention to deepening multifaceted economic ties between Russia and India. Following today's negotiations, we adopted the program for the development of Russian and Indian economic cooperation. This comprehensive document aims at making sure that we can achieve the goal Mr. Modi and I set for ourselves, so that we can increase the trade volume by 2030 to $100 billion.
So has Moscow's proximity increased India's leverage or complicated the final stretch? We asked economist Siddharth Sanyal that question.
But I tend to say in today's world, you have multiple channels of negotiations all along. You have a few multilateral negotiations, and you have several bilateral negotiations also. And I think in case of India and Russia, it's a long-lasting strategic alliance that has survived the test of time over several decades. So I don't see that will necessarily jeopardize India's prospect in the upcoming India-US negotiations. I think these two things need to be seen separately, and in view of one particular negotiation, we cannot reduce the importance and prospect of the other one.
Siddharth Sanyal, however, insists that Putin's visit is but a minor irritant for the US. Meanwhile, the US stakes are equally high. Exports from India to the US have already declined, and the tariff penalties linked to Russian crude have become politically sensitive in Washington. Ahead of the 2026 midterms, the Trump administration needs visible wins. And that raises the question, did Washington's tariff pressure put India closer to Moscow? And with timelines shrinking, what minimum outcome does the US side now require to keep the deal on track? We put these questions to US economist Willem Hendrik.
Well, clearly the very cordial and friendly relationship between Putin and Mr. Modi does not please Washington, that is clear. But no significant new agreements or commitments were made, either on the military side, Russia being a very significant supplier of arms for India, and also not on the economic side. And the only economic dimension that really matters here is Russia's sale of oil and other carbons, but mostly oil, to India. I believe that the reduction of Indian companies' demand for oil from Russia will likely continue because of the sanctions that have been imposed on firms and shipping companies in Russia and outside it because of the Ukrainian war. So I think this is a minor irritant in Washington, but not a strategic development either from the geopolitical point of view, where Russia is, because it is a massive nuclear power, is very significant, or from the economic perspective, where except for its supplies of oil to India, Russia is a very minor player.
So where do both sides stand? India believes its final offer is already on the table. The US is sending a senior team, led by Switzer, signaling urgency. And the window to close the first tranche is rapidly tightening. If next week's talks unlock tariff relief, the rest of the framework can accelerate. If not, the path to a comprehensive agreement may extend well beyond 2025.
We are talking to the United States, of course, but we don't do deals in a hurry, and we don't do deals with deadlines or with a gun on our head.
But that's how deals are done these days. It's a deadline.
I don't think so.
Tariffs come in midnight on this date. Take it or leave it.
India looks long term. India never takes decisions in a rush or on the pressure of the moment. And we've accepted if there's a tariff on us, there is a tariff on us. We're looking how to overcome that. We're looking at newer markets. We're looking at a stronger demand impetus within the Indian economy. So we have a very resilient structure, 1.4 billion people, young. Our average age is 28.5 years, very aspirational. 1 billion internet users connected to what's happening at the Berlin Global Dialogue, aspiring for a better quality of life for their families. So they are not in a situation where they want to do suboptimal deals. We'd like to really look at the long term. We recognize that 20, 25 years from now, we'll be a $30 trillion economy. And accordingly, we will negotiate based on the future. A trade deal is on the long run.
Right.
And we have to recognize the future and get the best deal for the country.
The stakes are strategic, the timelines are political, and the negotiations, now entering a decisive phase, will shape India's trade ecosystem for the next decade.
On to the next one. It was 12th of June 2025. This year, 241 lives were lost when Air India flight AI 171 to London, a Boeing 787 Dreamliner, went down minutes after takeoff from Ahmedabad. Months after the crash, the investigation is entering a crucial phase. This week, Indian investigators will be in Washington, D.C., sitting across the table with the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board, examining every byte of data, every second of cockpit audio, and every line of the flight parameters recovered so far. Here is what is expected out of the meeting.
Next week's meeting at the NTSB headquarters in Washington isn't just a technical briefing. It is a critical cross-check of every piece of data gathered so far. The AI 171 crash, 241 lives cut short in a blink of an eye. Families still grappling with what went down that afternoon. Hundreds of questions, yet no closure. With the meetings now slated, families expect clarity. India's AAIB is leading the probe, but data from a Boeing 787 system sensors and black box often require multi-nation review. We asked aviation veteran Group Captain GP Bajpai what such a joint meeting typically involves and why the American NTSB is a part of the probe.
It is very usual and a formal meeting. NTSB being a investigating agency for USA, for whom the regulatory authority is FAA, Federal Aviation Authority. So NTSB is the investigating agency for them. And since the crashed aircraft, OEM of the crashed aircraft and the engine of the crashed aircraft were belonging to USA, so it was but obvious that NTSB will get involved.
But the meeting comes in the middle of friction between Delhi and Washington. Sections of United States media last week suggested that the pilot may have deliberately turned off the engines, a claim Indian unions called baseless, harmful, and deeply premature.
See, first and foremost thing I would like to tell you that on April the 10th, 2025, a state-of-the-art lab set up by HAL was inaugurated by the Honorable Minister of Civil Aviation. And the media reported that the lab is capable of repairing and decoding and downloading the FDR and the CVR. And this would enable all types of aircraft which are flying in India, that their data will be shared by those OEMs and incorporated in the lab. That is why on the floor of the parliament, the Honorable Minister had said that these black boxes, when there were news that these black boxes were damaged and they were sent to US for decoding. It was denied that these were decoded and downloaded at the AIB lab of HAL. Now, the investigations being carried out by the NTSB, that is one of the specialist bodies in the world, and often their help is taken by different countries when they're investigating. Even the AIB investigations, they have included the officials from NTSB. They are, I would say, they are subject matter experts and they fulfill all conditions of the ICAO Annex 13 and ICAO Doc 9756 Part 1. So this is primarily what I judge from this report, that the Indian specialists who are investigating, they would be going to US, and this meeting would be, or investigation would be taken forward from where till where the AIB has reached with two sources of evidence, that is the FDR and the CVR. And this will be deliberated by the NTSB officials, the Indian officials, and the Boeing officials.
Another angle emerging now, the presence of Boeing at the Washington meeting. Some unions worry this raises conflict of interest questions. And some experts argue that if the NTSB wants the entire data stack, they should travel to India, not the other way around.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we've heard that the Indian team is visiting the NTSB board in the US. We are a bit surprised. If we have done all the investigation here, the NTSB board can also come here and have a look at the documents. And second thing, Boeing will also be present in the US. So we are a little bit concerned about Boeing being present for this meeting. Because actually it's the accident report. So sharing it with NTSB is one thing, but Boeing being there is a little bit discomfort, should I say. So we'll have to check why have we done everything in India? The accident took place in India, everything is here. NTSB should have visited us and then maybe we could have shared the data with them. But anyway, it's a government decision, so we'll have to wait and watch why the government has decided to do what they're doing. So we'll have to take it from there. Are investigators not proficient enough? If somebody wants the data to be shared, they should come here. We have no issues with that. But why should we be going there? So that is what is concerning. So, I mean, that's the most that I can comment about. Because from day one, if we have been discussing, we wanted to know why the black box should go out of India to be interpreted. And here now we have that we are going to take a whole report to the US. Why should we be sending it there to the NTSB? If they are so interested, they can come here and we can always share it. But then I guess it's a government decision, and I don't want to comment on a government decision. But it does not look good for the country as a whole that we have to go with our investigating report to somebody else. I don't know whether it is to seek their approval, whether it is to, for what we are taking it there, we are not aware. So we'll have to wait and watch what are the repercussions that are going to take place.
Almost 7 months since June 12 crash, families of the 241 victims still have no closure.
Last one, in a historic move that has big tech trembling and parents across the globe watching with bated breath. Australia down under is about to become the first nation to enforce a total social media ban for children under 16 years. From Instagram to TikTok, the digital doors are slamming shut this week. The law kicks in on December 10.
This is about letting kids be kids.
We want children to have their childhood, and we want parents to have peace of mind.
The countdown is over. On December 10, Australia pulls the plug. After a year of preparation, the Online Safety Amendment Act enters its enforcement phase, making it legal for social media giants to allow anyone under 16 to hold an account in Australia. The rationale is stark. The Australian government calls algorithms behavioural cocaine, citing a mental health emergency where social media is a vehicle for scammers and a platform for peer pressure.
This is about letting kids be kids. It's also about empowering parents to be able to have those discussions with their children.
We want children to have their childhood, and we want parents to have peace of mind. So this reform will not just change a law, it will change a generation.
The numbers speak for themselves. Studies show anxiety spikes, sleep deprivation, and a generation lost to doom scrolling. This law aims to break this cycle by shifting liability entirely onto the platforms, not the parents or the kids. Canberra's response is radical. Australia will become the first country to legally ban children under 16 from most major social media platforms. From December 10, apps like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, X, Reddit, Twitch, and others must take reasonable steps to detect and delete child accounts, or risk fines up to 50 million Australian dollars for systematic breaches. But implementation is a logistical nightmare. Meta has already begun purging accounts, demanding government IDs or video selfies to verify age, a move privacy advocates call a surveillance disaster. The burden is on big tech, not on kids. Australia's e-safety commissioner will send legal notices to at least 10 platforms from December 11, demanding numbers on child accounts that they have closed. Those reports must then be filed every month for 6 months. If the regulator finds systematic breaches with patterns of under 16s still active, the case can go up to the court, where judges can impose penalties all the way up to that of $50 million cap. With fines up to 50 million Australian dollar looming from December 10 and monthly reporting mandated, how realistic is Australia's enforcement of the under 16 social media ban against tech giants like Meta and Google, who are already pushing back? Google says anyone in Australia under 16 will be signed out of YouTube and lose features like playlist, comments, and subscription using age data from Google account and other signals to identify who is underage. Meta, owner of Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, has started removing suspected under 16 accounts. Users wrongly kicked off will have to prove that they are 16 or older through an age verification partner using the government IDs or a video selfie. But the giants aren't happy. Google calls the law rushed and says it misunderstands how young Australians use its platforms. Meta warns about barriers for genuine users. The Indian government, however, says this is exactly what parents demanded, while experts warn that ban could backfire, pushing teens from regulated apps to the unpoliced corners of the dark web. As platforms like YouTube sign out minors and Meta requires ID video selfies for verification, will this create a safer digital childhood in Australia or drive the kids underground to unregulated dark web alternatives? The psychology is complex. It is a forced digital detox. But will stripping away online communities cure depression or cause isolation?
This Australia ban has been in waiting for quite some time. There have been various debates in Australia about it. Overall, it is a welcome change and a welcome ban. All of us are realizing more and more that exposure to various social media, increasing screen time, is increasing problems of mental and behavioral nature in the adolescent and young adults.
Drawing from studies showing 95% teen social media addiction rates, will Australia's outright ban reduce anxiety and depression spikes in under 16s? Or will suppressed usage explode into riskier offline rebellion? The world is watching. Malaysia has already announced a similar ban for 2026. And France is trailing bans in schools, making Australia the pilot for a global shift.
In the most short-term way, it should show that they have in place the mechanisms to control the anxiety and the agitation of the young people. They do produce enough campaigns around people, educate parents, educate children, run school campaigns to educate people the reason of doing. See, the psychiatric and psychological fraternity must bring out the reasons more clearly. In 6 months, there can be scientific studies that show reduced impulsivity, aggression, depressive effect, suicidal effect, and in more or less 6 months, the immediate effect of the ban should go away and more people should gradually come into plan.
As Malaysia follows with 2026 ban and EU nations watch closely, what psychological benchmarks must Australia hit in 6 months to prove this model protects the brain over big tech profits? For India, with its massive young population, the question is pertinent. Could the Digital India Act adopt this Canberra model? But the privacy cost is high. To prove that you are 17, you must have to hand over your key document to the tech giants.
People will use VPNs. Absolutely, people will, kids will, bypass the security, like all the blocks. And what will happen is the way of these bypasses, the way, the VPN, through VPNs, they will, firstly, there'll be a series of new apps, series of new, players who will be much less safer than what the social media platforms, these tier A social media platforms are. And then, the probability of getting hacked through using a VPN, the probability, maybe someone might try to go through the dark web to access these platforms. So all these things will reduce our security, and hence, it will not make the world a better place.
As the sun sets on the era of unrestricted scrolling, Australia takes a gamble, betting that a childhood offline is a childhood saved. Whether it works or fails, the digital world will never be the same.
Our pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
Amity has been ranked among the top universities globally for producing the most employable graduates by the Times Higher Education UK. Yet another testimony to Amity's excellent placement record.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला। मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी, चाहे जो भी हो।
सर, पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता. Tata AIG Health Insurance. With you like family. With you always.
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ 8 मिनट में तैयार. क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला. MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल. ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े. क्या निराला MDH मसाला. मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी चाहे जो भी हो.
सर, पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता. Tata AIG Health Insurance. With you like family. With you always.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद ये तो है इसकी खास बात. वाओ मामा क्या स्वाद है. अरे मेरे राजा
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा.
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं. रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड.
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग स्टिक भी बन सकती है.
MDH की देगी मिर्च.
देगी मिर्च का तड़का अंग अंग फड़का.
MDH की देगी मिर्च. मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी चाहे जो भी हो.
सर, पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता. Tata AIG Health Insurance. With you like family. With you always.
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला. डिलीशियस, हेल्दी, एवरीडे.
Top headlines that we're tracking here on Sunday evening. Republic speaks to Goa Chief Minister on fire tragedy. He says the club fire caused by internal fireworks, limited exits led to the casualties. Exclusive video captures chaos at Goa nightclub as fire started. Eyewitnesses say that there were many security lapses. Indigo's latest statement says he is working to fix the disruptions latest by December 10. Meanwhile, DGCA issues another show cause notice to Indigo for violations of the earlier show cause notice. Amid Karnataka power tussle, DK Shivkumar issues a statement says be prepared for a change. And Parliament gears up for debate on Vande Mataram and electoral reforms this week. Ladies and gentlemen, a fun night of music and dance turned into a scene of death and despair in North Goa. A massive fire ripped through a packed club in Arpora, killing at least 25 people. Eyewitnesses describe hearing a loud explosion followed by plumes of smoke and panic as people ran for their lives. Most victims died of suffocation after being trapped in the basement. Authorities have now ordered a probe into the safety lapses as families mourn the dead ones.
A weekend party night turned fatal in Goa. "25 lives lost as North Goa's popular nightclub, Birch by Romeo Lane, had a massive blaze, trapping those present inside. 4 of them were tourists, while 19 were staff members of the club, even as some remain yet to be identified. This is how it began. The video from a dance floor captures chaos at the nightclub moments before the fire erupted. Watch this chilling footage from inside the club, captured the moment flames erupted from the ceiling above the dancer on the stage, with thick smoke quickly filling the area. Fire broke out at around 12:04 a.m. The blaze, believed to have started on the dance floor, allegedly due to a cylinder blast, rapidly spread, trapping many inside. Eyewitnesses described hearing a massive explosion. Panic spread within seconds as the fire engulfed the entire nightclub, leaving no clear escape.
मैं एक्चुअली घर पे जा रहा था, तभी देहरी आवाज़ आया ब्लास्ट का वगैरह, तो मैं देखा कि मेरे एक्चुअली नियर बाई घर है इधर, मैं देखा था कि अभी आग जला। एक्चुअली मोस्टली क्या होता है इधर, कभी पटाखे जलते हैं, कुछ फंक्शन होता है वगैरह, तो उतना ये मतलब हम लोग ने इतना वो चीज़ नहीं लिया।
Victims were trapped in the basement, succumbing to suffocation from the heavy smoke. Security guards near the scene reported the explosion and chaos, while families of the victims, including relatives from Jharkhand and Delhi.
आवाज कुछ नहीं, पूरा जलने लगा, वही देखा। कल ये था, कुछ डीजे डांसर आने वाली थी।
Tourists staying nearby also witnessed the frightening aftermath in the dead of the night, expressing shock at the tragedy.
The moment we came here, so we thought, why there is a pollution here, because we are used to of seeing smoke everywhere. So we thought it's not normal. So after some time we got to know there has been a fire.
Authorities have launched a detailed probe into the potential safety lapses, including fire clearance, emergency exits, overcrowding, basement access, and use of pyro guns. The owner of the nightclub is absconding, and the staff members, families of the victims, are demanding answers.
अभी लिसलनी गांव से आया, नवंबर 27 तारीख को आया। अभी 4 दिन हुआ काम पर करके उसका।
3 दिन से काम?
3 दिन।
बर्च नाइटक्लब में काम कर रहा था?
हाँ, काम कर रहा था, हाउसकीपिंग जॉब कर रहा था।
आपकी कुछ बात हुई थी उनसे?
उससे बात नहीं हुई, तो मेरा काजन उसका भाई फ़ोन किया था रात को, ऐसा प्रॉब्लम हो गया। सुबह 4 बजे फ़ोन आया था।
उनके भाई का आपको कॉल आया था?
हाँ, कासम से फ़ोन आया था।
आप यहीं पे काम करते हैं?
हाँ, मैं यहाँ पे काम करता हूँ।
आप अभी अंदर जाके आए हैं?
हाँ, देख के आया उसका।
आपने पहचाना?
हाँ, पहचाना। उसका मुंह में धुआं लगा है और थोड़ा नाक से ऐसा खून आया है।
So far, in the preliminary action, FIR has been registered against the two owners, Saurabh and Gaurav Luthra, and the managers of the club have been arrested. Meanwhile, the Congress has accused Goa government of a planned murder, sparking yet another political row.
Ladies and gentlemen, the nightclub that caught fire in Goa wasn't just mere an accident or an incident that happened. There are major security lapses that are now coming to the fore, from just a single entry and exit points to no possible way for the air to pass, and so many people dying of suffocation. In fact, the Goa Chief Minister Pramod Sawant had also confirmed to Republic while speaking to us that yes, the major cause of the death was suffocation. And if so was the case, ladies and gentlemen, why is it that this building was allowed to operate? Why is it that the manager is still on the run? And why is it that no safety checks were done before the party was held? Here is how there are major security lapses that are now exposed by Republic.
A Bollywood night of celebration turned deadly when Birch Club in Arpora, North Goa turned into a fire trap. It all started with a spark. Panic spread within seconds. New footage from inside the Birch Club shows a singer mid-performance when flames burst out of the roof during a pyro show. A night meant for enjoyment sadly claimed the lives of 25 people and left 6 injured. 4 tourists and 19 staff members among those who perished. 3 died from burn injuries. The rest suffocated as thick smoke filled the tightly packed nightclub. Hinting at safety lapse, Goa's Chief Minister Pramod Sawant indicated that the nightclub had not followed the safety norms.
Dr. Sawant, thank you very much for joining us on this broadcast. I want to straight away begin by asking you that the Panchayat had already raised concerns about rules not being followed by the nightclub. Despite that, the operations continued. Is there any reason why the Goa government looked the other way?
एट प्रेजेंट हमने इसके खिलाफ मजिस्ट्रेट इंक्वायरी लगाई है। मजिस्ट्रेट इंक्वायरी का रिपोर्ट आने के बाद भी इस पे मैं कमेंट कर सकूंगा, क्योंकि किसने ट्रेड लाइसेंस दिया और किसने इसको, ये बाद में पता चलेगा।
डॉक्टर सावंत, प्रिलिमिनरी जो इन्फॉर्मेशन आपके पास आई है उससे आपको क्या जानकारी मिल रही है कि आखिरकार ये क्या कारण हो सकता है? क्योंकि कुछ लोग ये कह रहे थे कि कुछ पायरोज विजुअल्स हो रहे थे, कुछ प्रोग्राम चल रही थी, उस वक्त आग लगी। आपके पास इस
सही कहा, आपने सही कहा। इस कुछ तो पैरोल्स कुछ तो वहाँ पे लगे थे, तो क्लब के ऊपर वाले हॉल में आग लगी और वहाँ से लोग बाहर एक ही दरवाजे से जो निकलना था, ज्यादा लोग बाहर निकल आए, लेकिन जो लोग उनके ग्राउंड फ्लोर में चले गए वो सफोकेशन के वजह से उनकी डेथ हो गई है। ये प्रिलिमिनरी इंक्वायरी तो आई है। इसके 25 लोगों की डेथ हो गई है, 6 लोग अभी एडमिटेड है, दे आर आउट ऑफ डेंजर, उनके ट्रीटमेंट अच्छी तरह से चल रही है। तो फिर बाकी तो जो रिपोर्ट आएगा उसके अनुसार हम स्ट्रिक्टली एक्शंस विल टेक अगेंस्ट दैट क्लब ओनर एंड क्लब मैनेजर्स।
एक आखिरी सवाल डॉक्टर सावंत करना चाहूंगा कि आखिरकार जब आप देखें कि कई सारे रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस को फ्लाउट किया गया है प्रिलिमिनरी इंफॉर्मेशन के तहत, आप अगर देखें, आप किसको जिम्मेदार ठहराएंगे? क्योंकि जिस तरह से आपके सरकार के ऊपर आरोप लग रहे हैं,
रिपोर्ट आने के बाद ही इसके ऊपर बात करना उचित, रिपोर्ट आने के बाद ही इसके ऊपर बात करना उचित रहेगा। वी आर वेटिंग फॉर द रिपोर्ट। थैंक यू।
A magisterial inquiry to examine fire safety compliance, building norms and alleged illegal operations has been ordered. The club's controversial history has also come to light. A demolition order was issued against Birch Club a month ago, calling the structure illegal. But the club approached high authorities and managed to stay the order. Meanwhile, the Congress still continues to politicize the heart-wrenching incident.
मुख्यमंत्री कल रात में हमने देखा कि ऑन रिकॉर्ड उन्होंने बोला है कि दिस इज अ डेंजरस सिचुएशन एंड पीपल आर नॉट फॉलोइंग द नॉर्म्स। इसका मतलब क्या है? इसका मतलब है कि गोवा राज्य के मुख्यमंत्री ने स्वीकार किया है कि उसकी एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन फेल हो चुकी है। वी डिमांड दैट द चीफ मिनिस्टर and all the ministers involved in giving the permissions to this, whether it is illegal, legal, we don't know, they have to resign immediately on moral and political grounds, because 25 innocent लोगों की जान गई है।
So far, in the preliminary action, FIR has been registered against 2 owners, Saurabh and Gaurav Luthra, and others from the management. A night meant for music and celebration turned into one of Goa's darkest tourism tragedies.
From what's happened to Goa, let's now tell you what's happening across the country. The Indigo flight cancellation crisis has triggered by an inadequate rostering for the new DGCA pilot rest regulations, dragged into its 6th consecutive day with hundreds of passengers still stranded at the major airports like Delhi, Mumbai, Bengaluru and Chennai, despite the airline's promises of stabilization. CEO of Indigo has apologized for the severe disruptions that have now led to over 2,500 total cancellations since December 2nd, prompting the government intervention, including fare caps, as the aviation watchdog issued a show cause notice. In fact, 2 show cause notices to the carrier amid calls for regulatory penalties. What the critics dubbed this was India's worst aviation meltdown in the recent years. Operations are projected to normalize by December 10 to 15, but the fiasco has only exposed the deep-seated manpower planning flaws in the low-cost giant that dominates 2/3 of the domestic traffic.
Down, down! Indigo! Down, down! Indigo! Down, down! Down, down! Indigo!
After a week of mass cancellations and travel chaos, Indigo claims that it has restored a majority of its network. The airline claims to have over 95% of its routes back, giving many stranded travelers a chance to resume their journeys. Yet, at major airports, the fallout is still visible. Long queues at check-in counters, frustrated and stranded passengers, and over 220 flights cancelled this morning at Delhi and Mumbai alone. From Delhi to Guwahati, travelers told the same story. Last-minute cancellations, no affordable alternatives, and days of uncertainty.
आज फ़्लाइट कैंसिल हो गई. कल इवनिंग को ही खबर आया. आज मेरा फ़्लाइट था टू कैलकाटा एट 7:20 एंड कल इवनिंग को ही खबर आया कि फ़्लाइट कैंसिल हो गया. अभी यहाँ पे आके फिर कौन सा फ़्लाइट अवेलेबल है, क्या है, वो सब खोज खबर लेना पड़ा. एंड इंडिगो से पूछने से उनका ऑपरेशंस पूरा बंद है. एंड इफ़ आई गो टू अदर काउंटर्स लाइक एयर इंडिया, आकाशा, उनके भी लिमिटेड फ़्लाइट्स हैं, और अगर हैं भी तो इट्स वेरी कॉस्टली, इट्स नॉट अफोर्डेबल. अभी जो भी मुझे मिला कल का मिला है, बहुत मुश्किल से मिला है. फिर अभी मैं फिगर कर रहा हूँ कहाँ रहना है यहाँ पे. सो इट इज़ बिकमिंग अ बिट टफ. ऑफिस वाले हैं हम लोग, तो वहाँ पे भी हम लोग को छुट्टी लेना पड़ रहा है.
With seats limited and demand spiking, other airlines have hiked their fares, forcing many to either pay steep premiums or scrap travel plans altogether. Recognizing the scale of disruption, the DGCA issued show cause notices to Indigo's top leadership, including CEO Peter Elbis and the accountable manager, asking them to explain the massive operational failures within 24 hours.
और आज हमने देखा कि 4 दिन पहले जो सिचुएशन क्रिएट हुई देश में, जो क्योस हुआ, उसकी वजह यही थी कि इंडिगो ने, उनके मैनेजमेंट ने ये सीरियसली नहीं लिया. तो तुरंत उसके बाद मिनिस्ट्री हो या डीजीसीआई के माध्यम से हमने इमीडिएटली एक्शन ली है. सबसे पहले तो 4 लोगों की एक जांच समिति हमने अपॉइंट करी है. उसके बाद 24/7 एक कंट्रोल रूम तैयार किया गया है. ये सब पहले जैसी सेवा शुरू हो, इसलिए FTDL का जो आदेश था उसको फरवरी 2026 तक हमने स्थगित कर दिया है. डीजीसीए ने इंडिगो के CEO को कल ही शोकॉज नोटिस दिया है. 24 आवर्स में उसका आंसर देना, इसलिए उनको बोला है और उनको नोटिस भी इशू किया है. ऐसे बहुत सारे निर्णय हमने इमीडिएटली ले लिए है. इस बारे में सरकार बिल्कुल गंभीरता से विचार कर रही है. जो जांच कमेटी अपॉइंट किए, उसका रिपोर्ट आने के बाद बिल्कुल उस पर कार्रवाई भी होगी.
The crisis stems largely from last-minute crew roster, chaos triggered by recently enforced pilot rest and duty time rules the airlines failed to factor in early enough. To prevent profiteering, the government imposed airfare caps on key routes.
राममोहन नायडू जी खड़े होकर के जवाब दिया और बताया कि ये तकनीकी दिक्कत है और इसको हम जल्दी दूर करते हैं. उसके बाद आपने देखा होगा शनिवार को भी इम्प्रूवमेंट नजर आया, रविवार को भी इम्प्रूवमेंट नजर आया. आज मैं इसको देख रहा हूँ, मैंने आज भी मॉनिटरिंग. तो अब धीरे धीरे इस परिस्थितियाँ सुधर रही है और जल्दी ही, और एक कंट्रोल भी किया है. आपने देखा होगा कि कुछ ऐसे एयरलाइंस थे जिन्होंने मनमाने तरीके से वो किराया बढ़ा दिया. उसको भी उन्होंने कहा इतने किलोमीटर पे इतनी राशि, इतने किलोमीटर पे इतनी राशि. इसका मतलब सरकार ने इस विषय को संवेदनशीलता के साथ, यात्री परेशान नहीं और जो तकनीकी खराबी आई है वो जल्दी ठीक हो, इस दिशा में कदम उठाएं.
Meanwhile, Indigo tweeted that all pending refunds and compensation claims for cancelled or postponed travellers will be processed without any delay, and full waiver will be given for cancellations and rescheduled requests for bookings. Indigo says it is working to normalize operations, but with show cause notices issued, regulators and government watching closely and passengers demanding justice, this crisis may reshape how airlines manage crew, safety and customer rights. The fallout is still being tailed. And meanwhile, just few moments back, it was the Indigo CEO, Peter, who had issued a new statement. But what was visible in that statement is that him standing in the Gurgaon office of Indigo and saying that they are here at the Indigo office and that all the workers, all the employees of Indigo are working together to help ease the disruption that has been caused. But ladies and gentlemen, 6 days of disruptions and with so much money already lost of the passengers who had paid a hefty price to reach a destination, is this apology enough? Listen to what the Indigo CEO had to say just a few minutes back.
I'm standing here at Indigo's Operations Control Center in Gurgaon. As you can see the bus going on in the background, my colleagues here are working relentlessly to further stabilize and normalize the Indigo operation. For me, they symbolize the unwavering spirit, professionalism and incredible commitment of all at Indigo. Once again, my sincerest appreciation for the great work each and every one of you is doing. I'm standing here at Indigo's Operations Control Center in Gurgaon. As you can see the bus going on in the background, my colleagues here are working relentlessly to further stabilize and normalize the Indigo operation. For me, they symbolize the unwavering spirit, professionalism and incredible commitment of all at Indigo. Once again, my sincerest appreciation for the great work each and every one of you is doing.
Now, despite a fare cap order meant to protect passengers during the Indigo crisis, the government is attracting criticism over the new limits. Rupees 7,500 for short flights and up to rupees 18,000 for long sectors, as they are 120 to 200% higher than what was introduced in the COVID era. This despite the fact that fuel costs haven't risen significantly in the last 5 years. Unlike 2020, airlines are no longer required to sell any seats at affordable mid-range prices, meaning they can legally price 100% of tickets at the maximum cap. The question really is, the step by the government, is it really a relief for the passengers? Here's a report on that. Chaos at airports, steep prices on booking screens, and thousands of passengers stranded in the wake of Indigo's operational meltdown. To control the spiraling fares, the centre stepped in with an emergency order, capping ticket prices from 7,500 to rupees 18,000 depending on distance. But the question remains, are these caps simply too high to offer any real relief? The government's new limits are massively higher than the caps imposed even during COVID, a time when aviation turbine fuel made up nearly 40% of airline cost, just as it does today. In 2020, fares for sectors under 500 kilometers were capped at rupees 2,000 to 3,500. Today, the same category carries a cap of rupees 7,500, a jump of 120% to 200%. For flights between 500 and 1,000 kilometers, the gap widens even more. The COVID-era limit was rupees 7,500. The new cap, rupees 12,000. That's 60% higher, even though fuel prices, the biggest cost component, have barely budged in the last 5 years. A key feature that kept fares in check during COVID has also vanished. In 2020, airlines were required to sell 40% of seats below a midpoint fare, but in 2025, the projection is gone. Before the new cap, fares on disrupted routes and skyrocketed to 3 to 5 times normal levels. The new caps continue to allow premium pricing instead of restoring pre-crisis averages. This indicates the cap was set at levels that accommodate airlines, not passengers. With fare ceilings set far above 2020 levels, travelers may still find themselves paying premium prices now with the government approval. Let's now shift our focus to what's happening in the political arena. A latest comment by Navjot Singh Sidhu's wife has drawn sharp political criticism, where she said that anybody in Punjab can become the chief minister if they have 500 rupees crore in their trunk. Now, this comment has drawn sharp criticism, with the BJP saying that they always knew that Congress is a corrupt party. Here is that statement and how it has created a huge political storm.
Punjab may still be more than a year away from the assembly elections, but the first intense spark of political debate has already been lit. And this spark comes not from a rally or a campaign stage, but from the home of a cricketer and former MP Navjot Singh Sidhu's wife, Navjot Kaur Sidhu. Speaking to the media, she openly declared that Sidhu will return to active politics only if he is projected as a chief ministerial face.
कह रहे हैं कि कांग्रेस अगर सीएम फेस नवजोत सिद्धू का ऐलान करे या आगे लाए तब आ सकते हैं?
तब वो आएंगे, तब वो आ जाएंगे, पर अदरवाइज वो अच्छा पैसा कमा रहे हैं और खुश हैं.
According to his wife, Sidhu continues to feel connected to the Congress emotionally, especially to Priyanka Gandhi, but sees no real space for himself in the party right now.
वो कांग्रेस के साथ अटैच्ड हैं बहुत ज़्यादा, उनको उनके साथ प्रियंका जी के साथ अटैचमेंट है, पर मुझे इतनी इनफाइटिंग में लग नहीं रहा कि कहीं भी नवजोत सिद्धू को ये प्रमोट होने देंगे.
She claimed Punjab Congress leaders are not just competing, but working against their own party, exposing the rift inside the Punjab Congress. She also stated that they may not have 500 crore rupees to secure positions, yet they believe they have the vision to rebuild Punjab.
आपने एक पैसे की बात करी कि हमारे पास पैसे नहीं है, क्या किसी पार्टी ने आपसे पैसे की डिमांड करी आगे आने के लिए?
नहीं, हमसे किसी ने नहीं की, पर सीएम वही बनता है जो 500 करोड़ का टैक्स देता है.
When asked if Navjot Singh Sidhu would return if the BJP gave him some position, Navjot Kaur's response was that she cannot answer for him.
अगर बीजेपी जिम्मेवारी लेती है तो क्या नवजोत सिंह सिद्धू वापसी करेंगे बीजेपी में?
ये मैं उनकी तरफ से नहीं बता सकती.
After her remarks, the BJP seized the moment, attacking Congress and accusing it of thriving on corruption and chaotic leadership selection. And now, the big question ahead of 2027 is wide open. Will Congress risk projecting Sidhu as CM, or will Sidhu look beyond Congress for his political return?
And yes, we couldn't have wrapped this edition of Live and Breaking with one story that's, yes, making the headlines in the political arena. The chief ministerial change in Karnataka. The question has always lingered for months now. Will D.K. Shivakumar be the CM or will Siddaramaiah stay the chief minister? Now, there is a new comment by D.K. Shivakumar, the Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka, where in a very, very cryptic message, he has gone ahead to say and claim and tell the Congress workers, be ready for the change. Is this change going to be in favor of D.K. Shivakumar? Here's a report on that.
The political tug of war in Karnataka is once again back in the spotlight. Just weeks after the Congress leadership managed to cool tempers in the Siddaramaiah-Shivakumar power-sharing row, cracks within the party have resurfaced. For weeks now, supporters of Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar have been holding meetings, travelling to Delhi to meet Congress High Command and cooling down the situation. While the Congress has publicly maintained that there is no crisis and that the two leaders met over breakfast twice, D.K. Shivakumar's latest comments have reignited the debate. At a public event, the state Congress president delivered a loaded message, asking supporters to prepare for a change in Karnataka.
ಮುಂದಿನ ದಿನದಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಹೊಸ ರೂಪವನ್ನ, ಒಂದು ಶಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ತುಂಬಿಸಿ ಒಂದು ಬದಲಾವಣೆಯನ್ನ ಪರ್ವನ್ನ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಸಜ್ಜಾಗೋಣ. ಮನುಷ್ಯನ ಬದುಕು ಶಾಶ್ವತವಲ್ಲ, ನಾವು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗುವ ಕೆಲಸಗಳು ಮಾತ್ರ ಶಾಶ್ವತ. ಮಾತು ನಿಧಾನವಾಗಿರಬೇಕು, ಕಾಯಕ ಪ್ರಧಾನವಾಗಿರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಹಿರಿಯರು ಕೂಡ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮನುಷ್ಯ ಹುಟ್ಟುವಾಗ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಕಾಲಿ ಕೈನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಬರ್ತೇವೆ, ಆದರೆ ಹೋಗುವಾಗ ಅನೇಕ ಪಾಪ ಪುಣ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕಟ್ಟಿಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ಹೋಗ್ತೇವೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ಇವತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಬದುಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಸಾಕ್ಷಿ ಗುಡ್ಡೆಗಳನ್ನು ಇವತ್ತು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ. ನಾನು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಒಂದು ಮಾತು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀನಿ, ದೇವರು ವರನೂ ಕೊಡುದಿಲ್ಲ, ಶಾಪನೂ ಕೊಡುದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅವಕಾಶ ಮಾತ್ರ ಕೊಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೇನೆ. ಆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಕೊಟ್ಟಂತ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಬಹಳ ಮುಖ್ಯ. ನಮ್ಮ ಹುಟ್ಟು ನಮ್ಮ ಕೈಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಆದರೆ ಗುರಿ ಮುಟ್ಟೋದು ಮಾತ್ರ ನಮ್ಮ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿದೆ. ಆ ಕೆಲಸ ಇವತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ.
For now, the High Command is maintaining its silence. But Karnataka's CM chair remains at the centre of Congress's biggest internal challenge. The question still looms. Is a change coming? Or is this just another phase in the long-running power tussle?
Amity has been ranked among the top universities globally for producing the most employable graduates by the Times Higher Education UK. Yet another testimony to Amity's excellent placement record.
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला। MDH
मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी चाहे जो भी हो।
सर, पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता। टाटा AIG हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, विद यू लाइक फैमिली, विद यू ऑलवेज।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरी डे।
Welcome. You're watching the latest edition of Our Defense with me, Rakshita, viewers. And this week has been a very, very exciting one with the Russian president's visit. Defense being one of the focus points of the bilateral talks, viewers. He made his first visit to India since 2021, and the two-day Modi-Putin bilateral has had everybody's focus, has had everybody's attention. The Russian President Vladimir Putin had in fact made his first visit since 2021, and we are going to tell you about what was discussed. Again, I'll start off by saying what Vladimir Putin did. He visited India for the first time since 2021, two-day Modi-Putin bilateral visit. Saw a refreshing renewal of India-Russia partnership, he said. Prime Minister Modi said. Both nations mark 25 years of friendship. And so this is the right time to jointly move ahead with agreements that take care of trade, energy, security and diaspora needs. Now, expectations rose that India would have more clarity on defense deals pending with Russia amidst speculations that India will seal a deal to procure the Russian fifth-generation Sukhoi 57 stealth fighter jets. Russia offered the localized production of the aircraft. Now, Rostec, Russia's state-owned defense conglomerate, has announced that it is ready to set up a production line for the Su-57 fighter jets in India. And under this offer, production would be set up at HAL's Nasik facility. That includes major technology transfer and aims for 40 to 60% of localization in the medium term. In terms of its functionality, the Sukhoi 57E notably superior to F-35, that is from America, primarily due to its significant wider array of weaponry, the result of the larger size of the Russian fifth-generation fighter. Unlike the F-35, the Su-57 has a real combat experience gained during the special military operation, where it has engaged the latest Western weapon systems supplied to Ukraine, including the entire range of existing air defense and missile defense complexes produced by NATO member countries. The aircraft has successfully countered the latest modifications of Western produced electronic warfare systems in possession of the Ukrainian armed forces. I think we are going to Sukhoi 57 next. If we are going to it, I don't know. In terms of functionality, okay, we are talking about functionality once again. Why is it superior to F-35? It's primarily due to its significantly wider array of weaponry, a result of the largest size of the Russian 5th generation fighter jet. Now, why India needs the Su-57? On your screens. Balancing China-Pak edge. Now, China is fielding a 5th generation fighter, more than 300 5th generation fighters. This is, of course, countering those at the China-Pak edge. Pakistan is planning the Chinese, in fact, it is planning to get the 6th generation. It's going beyond. IAF, Air Force, needs next-gen stealths to maintain parity. Also, why India needs Su-57 is also because it needs to counter somewhere what the technology transfer issue is concerned, because America continues to keep the entire control with itself when it comes to the aircraft like F-35. Russia's offer package is that the initial Su-57 will be it will be followed by license production. We can go across to our guest, I think, on this, Dr. Sergey Dvoryanov, to talk more about it. Dr. Sergey Dvoryanov, thank you so much for joining us on Republic TV, sir. Now, we have been hearing about the Su-57 for a long, long time now. We've been comparing why, how does it match up to the F-35s? And now with this firm actually announcing that it's ready to set up the production here, sir, what sort of a partnership and what sort of a boost do you see in the bilateral defense ties, and how does it benefit both the sides?
Thank you for invitation. Thank you for your question. Yes, as we can see, the visit of Vladimir Putin to Bharat civilization to India was very successful, because he was surrounded by all the ministers, and chairman of Rostech, Sergei Viktorovich also was with him, Chemezov. And we can see that it was a very fruitful conversation. And this visit was very well organized, because we know that month before, the National Security Secretary Ajit Doval also visited Moscow, and then Jai Shankar, Minister of External Affairs, also visited Moscow, and it was very fruitful preparation for this visit. We can see that Russia right now is a big question of trust to our governments, to our nations, to each other, because we supposed to open the localization, the manufacturing of Su-57, but also will transfer all full technology, and again, we can see that we have the common vision of the policy of the security of our countries. And as you know, Su-57 was very successfully present in the exhibition in the United Emirates. And everybody understands that Russian technology regarding the defense and some military equipment is very profound. And right now we can see that two our leaders, Shri Narendra Modi and Vladimir Putin, together, they understand that the question of security, of the future of civilization, is a question of real common values and visions of two leaders. That's